In our last video, we showed how companies like Ford, Google, Amazon, and Pfizer moved billions of dollars and thousands of jobs into Canada. That was only the start. Now 5 more global giants, Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, Netflix, and Apple are making even bigger moves north. Why are they doing this? Canada offers something the US is struggling to provide: stability, affordability, and a reliable environment for innovation. Trade wars, supply chain disruptions, and political uncertainty have made Canada look like the safer bet. This isn't just a trend, it's a shift in strategy. And the first company making headlines, Microsoft. Microsoft just committed $500 million to Quebec, 680 million CAD, not a minor upgrade. This is a massive bet on Canada's digital future, and it's a direct response to what the US can't offer anymore. Right now, cloud computing and AI are driving every major tech decision. Demand for server capacity is exploding, but in the US, energy costs keep rising and regulations drag out new projects for years. Microsoft has to move fast. They need power, space, and approval processes that don't stall growth. Quebec checks every box. Hydroelectric power in Quebec is cheap and reliable. That means Microsoft can run massive data centers at a fraction of the cost compared to most US states. The province's streamlined approval process means projects don't get stuck in endless red tape. So Microsoft isn't just dipping a toe in. They're building new data centers in Lonson, Lorette, Donnacona, Suggest-Endure, and Lévis, all powered by renewable energy. This isn't a token expansion. Microsoft's cloud infrastructure footprint in Canada is about to increase by 750%. That's the kind of jump that changes where cloud computing happens, not just for Microsoft, but for everyone using their services. Meta is setting up a major engineering base in Toronto with plans to hire up to 2,500 engineers over the next few years. This isn't a satellite office. It's a core part of their global strategy. Meta's focus here is clear: build the teams that will drive the company's biggest bets, from AI research to the metaverse. These aren't support roles or outsourced projects. The WhatsApp and Messenger engineering teams are being built from scratch in Canada, and Toronto is becoming one of the main hubs for Reality Labs, the division working on VR and AR. There's a reason Meta picked Toronto. US visa delays have become a serious obstacle, slowing down hiring to a crawl. The H-1B process now drags on for more than half a year, which just doesn't work for a company chasing the next wave of technology. In contrast, Canada's Global Talent Stream program can get skilled engineers into the country in as little as 2 weeks. That's a huge difference when you're racing to launch new products and stay ahead of competitors. Meta needs talent now, and Canada's policies make that possible. The local talent pool is another big draw. Toronto is home to one of the largest concentrations of tech workers outside Silicon Valley. Fueled by universities like Waterloo and U of T, Meta isn't coming here for cheap labor. They're offering compensation on par with California because the company wants the best people. The Canadian government's investment in AI, including $125 million for institutes like MA since 2017, has built a direct pipeline from academic research to tech industry jobs. Meta is tapping into that ecosystem, hiring entire teams that are already working on cutting-edge AI and extended reality. The expansion isn't limited to just Toronto either. Meta's blend of in-off and remote roles means they can pull in talent from across the country. The diversity and multicultural environment in Canada let Meta test and develop products for a global audience, something that's harder to do in California. This is a long-term play. Meta is not just filling seats. They're anchoring the future of their core technologies in Canada. This move isn't small. Few tech companies have 2,500 engineers in total, let alone in one new hub. What's happening here is a shift of critical operations driven by a combination of US policy failures and Canadian opportunity. But it's not just software and hardware that are moving north. Another industry is making an even bigger shift, and it's changing what gets made and watched on your screen. Netflix has built a production empire in Canada, and Toronto is now at the center of it. The company leased 164,000 square FT at Cinepay Studios, and another 84,580 feet at Pinewood, Toronto. That's 4 sound stages and dedicated office space, enough to support a steady pipeline of Netflix originals. Ty Warren, Netflix's VP of Physical Production, said, "The company is proud to continue our investment in Canada and Canadian films and series." This isn't just a press release. The numbers are real. These Toronto hubs are expected to generate about 150 production jobs for Canadians every year. Canada's appeal is simple. The exchange rate gives Netflix a 30% discount right out of the gate. Film tax credits save millions more. Local crews are skilled and experienced, but cost less than their LA counterparts. Netflix gets high-end production without the bloated California price tag. That's a competitive edge you can't ignore if you're running a global streaming business. But it's not just about saving money. Netflix's content strategy is built around authentic storytelling, and Canadian productions fit that model. Toronto's streets can stand in for New York, Chicago, or any generic American city. Shows like The Umbrella Academy have proven that Canadian-made content can be global hits. At the same time, these productions help Netflix meet European content quotas and fill out its American lineup. The government has made it easy. Ontario's film tax credit can return up to 35% on labor costs, and cities compete to attract productions with even more incentives. Compare that to California, where tax credits top out at 25% and come with more bureaucracy. Netflix isn't just looking for savings. They're looking for a place where production can move quickly and reliably. This isn't outsourcing. Netflix's Toronto hub is a full production partner. Employees get union wages and benefits. Local writers, directors, and crew have access to opportunities they couldn't get in California. And it's not just Netflix. NBC Universal has a major footprint in Toronto, too. It's an industry shift, not a one-off experiment. Netflix has 700 million viewers worldwide, but only 40% of TV households subscribe. That leaves a lot of room to grow, and producing in Canada lets Netflix scale up content to meet demand. Canadian-made shows help Netflix satisfy international regulations while still appealing to U.S. audiences. California lost 15,000 entertainment jobs last year. Toronto added thousands. Permits are faster, unions are more cooperative, and costs are predictable. As long as the numbers keep pointing north, more productions will follow. But it's not just about what's on screen. The next shift is happening in manufacturing, and it's all about resources that the U.S. can't secure on its own. Tesla's supply chain just got a lifeline from Quebec. The company now relies on Canadian lithium, not Chinese or Australian sources. This shift is a direct response to new U.S. rules, specifically the Inflation Reduction Act. Tesla needs a steady, massive supply of lithium to keep its factories running. The solution came from Quebec. Tesla's amended deal with Piedmont Lithium secures 125,000 metric tons.
Keith Phillips, Piedmont CEO, put it plainly, this agreement helps ensure these critical resources from Quebec remain in North America.
This isn't a short-term fix. It's a strategic move to lock down Canada's mineral output for years. Piedmont's North American lithium project in Quebec is the only major source of spodumene concentrate on the continent. Tesla isn't the only company paying attention. LG Chem signed its own deal for 50,000 metric tons. The scale here matters. American lithium production can't meet even a fraction of projected EV demand. The Inflation Reduction Act created the incentive, but Canada is delivering the actual resources. Tesla's 4,680 battery cells depend on reliable lithium, and Quebec's output is now essential. This deal highlights a bigger reality. Raw materials, not factories, determine who leads in the EV market. China still dominates lithium processing, but Tesla's Quebec agreement is a step toward building a North American supply chain. Tesla's choice wasn't random. They needed secure local supply fast. The U.S. wants to lead in electric vehicles, but it's Canada that holds the cards when it comes to critical minerals. But while the focus has been on raw materials and manufacturing, there's another move happening in Canada. Apple's expansion into Canada's chip design sector is deliberate. Over the past year, the company posted more than 100 chip design jobs in Ottawa and Montreal. These aren't routine roles. They're for engineers working on custom processors that won't appear in products for years. Apple knows its competitive edge comes from in-house silicon, but U.S. talent is expensive and hard to find. That's why Senior VP Johnny Srogi openly discussed Apple's push to use generative AI to speed up chip design. Canada offers Apple what it can't get in Silicon Valley, a deep pool of semiconductor and AI talent. Montreal is home to Ma and McGill, both known for AI research. Ottawa's semiconductor cluster includes firms like Air Labs, which have found success recruiting strong design talent. These Canadian engineers are building the next generation of Apple's custom chips using advanced workflows. Apple's teams in Canada work closely with companies like Cadence Design Systems and Synopsys. Synopsys has said generative AI is changing design methods, and that's happening now in Canadian labs. Venture Labs' Avinash Prasad warned about the risk of brain drain if the country can't keep this talent at home. Ottawa isn't just a satellite office. Apple is running AI-assisted design projects here. Apple's move is reversing that trend. hiring directly from places like Waterloo and U of T. The Canadian government sees the stakes. Persaud emphasized the need to create an environment that retains talent. That means supporting homegrown innovation instead of letting it be acquired and moved abroad. Apple isn't seeking headlines with this strategy. There are no big announcements or flashy press releases. The company is quietly building a hedge against U.S. talent shortages and supply chain risks. All of these moves add up. Each company is making a calculated shift, and together they're reshaping the business landscape. 5 giants, 5 silent power moves. From Microsoft's Quebec data centers to Meta's Toronto engineering hub, Netflix's production base, Tesla's lithium deals, and Apple's chip design labs. Each one is here for the same reason. Canada's blend of stable power, clear policy, and skilled talent. These factors aren't just attracting business, they're changing how global companies plan for the future. The numbers are clear. 2,500 engineering jobs, 125,000 metric tons of lithium, $680 million CAD in new investment. These are not short-term shifts. They signal a long-term strategy where Canada's advantages set the pace. If you're surprised by how Canada is reshaping global business, subscribe and share your thoughts below. Which global giant will be next? Let us know what you're watching. Open up north. The playbook has new authors.